It is not a man's word. Do I hear someone say, oh no? The German writer Esther Villian, in her book, The Manipulated Man, that caused outrage and hostile criticism from women, explains how women, since the earliest time, have manipulated men and turned them into their slaves. They have pretended to be the oppressed sex, while in the real sense, they are the oppressors. She explains how a woman manipulates a man skillfully by steps like courtship and finally marriage. Hence the saying, a man chases a woman until she catches him. In her book, she explains how the man is tricked to care for the woman and her offspring all his life. He rolls the stone like Sisyphus and in turn gets rewarded by a few minutes of sexual pleasure. We can, by observing Esther Villian's assertion that a man is a slave of his desires, and the woman uses and has used this for thousands of years as a stick and carrot to keep the man chasing vanity and committing his life to serving her. She goes ahead to explain the revelry of women, how each woman feels the powerful urge and need to own a male for herself alone. Like a slave owner, she detests any move the man would make to offer his service to another woman. She uses all means to keep the man to herself and her offsprings alone. Esther Villian's sentiments are captured by Nigerian's poet, critic, and writer Chinwazu Ibekwe in his book, The Anatomy of Female Power, and Wayfarer's The Predator Female. They all push the theory that all society are matriarchal and not patriarchal, as we have been pushed or forced to believe. Matriarchy has ruled not through brow, but wit and trick. Women think weakness to be protected and the rest of it. Thus, the man becomes the most exploited sex in human history. In wars, the man is always ready to die for the woman. He has been trained to do that. Chinwazu called the ritual of dating and courtship training like that of a horse. It is during this time that a woman, having kept a man on a leash by denying him sex and getting him addicted to her false charms, trains and breaks him to whatever she wants him to become. The man on his wedding day waves goodbye to his independence and his collusion of males and commits himself to a Sisyphean life, rolling stone and acts he cannot abandon, having society and the government checking him and always ready to jail, shame, or exile him for absconding his duties. Thus, the government and society helps the woman in keeping her slave in check. Chinwazu gives a narration of how women are trained by older matriarchs to tame men. He explains how a man is trained to rely on women by his own mother, how he is shamed for cooking for himself and doing other domestic chores by his own mother, who is an agent of the global matriarchy rule. By getting the man to hate domestic work and having this hated by enforced society, which warns men against going into the kitchen, doing laundry, and the rest of it. The mother trains her son for the woman, who will captivate him, and when the time comes, his wife takes hold of the man's stomach, and by getting him addicted to her body, she holds him by the two, the bed and in the kitchen. With those two weapons, she manipulates the man and turns him into a plaything. In the midst of the male power, Esther Villian, a man's right to the other woman, the polygamous sex, the author of these books challenge the narrative that men oppress women, and by detailed research across Africa, Western and Eastern, both in ancient and modern society, the author unraveled the hidden power of the ruthless matriarchal power that rules the world. What do you think about this? I would like to read your comments. I shall go to Rabbi again.